Hi there, welcome back to my channel Scrap and Coffee. This is part 2 for this new project. I haven't officially given it a name, but I'm guessing I'm going to call it my Classic Pooh album. This is part 2. We are going to construct the front inside cover. So before I'm going to show you the construction of that front inside cover element, I wanted to share a little thing with you. In the previous video we made the cover, and I've put these pieces of cardstock here on that front inside cover. Now, I wasn't really thinking clearly. Apparently I'm a bit rusty, which is very understandable after all this time, but at least that's what I tell myself. So I placed these pieces of cardstock, and then I realized I'm going to make an element that's going to be like a standalone element. You could make it as a separate insert for an album if you want to, and then I'm going to stick that in my actual album. There are a few options. This is the option that I went for, at least for my back cover, and I will probably do the same thing in the front cover, and then I will show you exactly what I did. But I've used the cut-off pieces for my front and back cover, like at least one of them. Like, I'm not sure if you can really see it, but like this was the front that we used for the cover, and then this was the back side. And I've cut 1/2-inch strips of that left over, and then I just made a little frame there. So when I do the front cover, I'll show you how I did that. So that's an option. And then this is, don't look at it, looks hideous, but this is my tryout piece. This is going to be on top, and the reason that I did this is because now I feel like there is too much white showing, and I don't want that. So our back element is also going to be the same measurement, so you won't see a lot of this green, but it just breaks that white a little bit. So another option for you is to leave out these pieces of the basic cardstock and just stick your element, and you will see the pattern paper that you wrapped your cover with, and you only have the basic paper that we use to cover the spine that you will see then on the binding side, on the spine side. So you can leave these pieces of cardstock out if you want to. It saves you like 2 full sheets of cardstock basically. Another option is that you make one or both of your back and front inside covers detachable with magnets. So once you're done decorating, you will put magnets on the back and magnets on your cover, and so you can take it out. And then you might want to put like a full sheet of pattern paper here to make that look pretty. So that's also an option. It's whatever you prefer. So yeah, I just wanted to share with you, and I think I will make a little note in that first video and also in the cutting guide, like before you cut and glue down these pieces, just have a think about what will work for you and your project, and yeah, what you want to do with that. So you know, if you already did this, it's still fine. But yeah, maybe you feel like it's a bit waste of your cardstock and your pattern paper. So just keep that in mind. That's what I wanted to share before we start the actual construction. So now I'm going to construct. We're going to work on the front inside cover, like I said. And it's going to be, yeah, like I said, you could even make it as an insert. Well, it's going to look a little bit different than this, a bit more neat. But that's how it goes when you design an album. I need to try stuff out and make sure that all my measurements are right, and then still I make mistakes. So I've cut all my pieces to size. I scored them, and I already placed my tape to save time in the video, but of course I will talk you through it. Again, a little reminder, a cutting guide is available in my Ko-fi web shop. The link is down below in the description box. It's a free cutting guide for this project, so nothing should stop you from downloading it and just have a look at what a cutting guide would look like. And it just helps you. You can have it next to you when you're working on projects. It's easier than having to write down the measurements while you're watching the video, but of course you can do that as well. Okay, this is me from the future. While I was looking at my videos, I realized I had a bit of an issue with the original video. While I was talking you through the scoring and the measurements of the pieces, that the camera was going in and out of focus. Apparently I forgot to set the focus to the same point, and I couldn't use that part of the video. So I'm going to redo it. I've got some really cheap cardstock to show you the measurements and the scoring of the pieces. And then at some point I can use the original video again where I start the constructing of the pieces. So that will be in the white again, which I think is a bit easier to see than on this black. But yeah, I do want to show you the measurements and how to score the pieces. So I'm just going to redo it. It's fine. It's I guess it's all part of this project. So bear with me during this project. I am going to show you for piece A. I'm not going to do the actual scoring, but I'll show you the piece because I just got myself a piece of white cardstock that was 12 inches to show you the piece, and then I can reuse this piece. So for piece A, you will cut one piece of cardstock that's going to be 12 inches long and 6 inches high, and you're going to score it halfway at 6 inches. So you're going to score it, and then later on you're just going to fold the piece in half, and that's going to be your base piece. Then we're going to have a piece B, which is 3 3/4 wide and 5 7/8 inch long. You're going to put that in your scoreboard, and you're going to score 5 1/4 and 5 3/8 of an inch. And then piece C is a similar piece. It's just the measurements are slightly different, but it's 3 3/4 as well in width. This time it's 5 1/2 inches long. And with the 5 1/2 inch on top, you're going to score 4 7/8 and 5 inches. Now for both your pieces B and C, you're going to place your tape on the bumpy side. Now what does that mean? Like, I have a rule where if I don't say anything about where you place the tape, you place it on the indented side. So when you make a score line, you push one side, you push the cardstock in, like the score line into the cardstock. That's what we call the indented side. Normally your tape will go there on that 1/2 inch strip. But in some cases we place it on the bumpy side, and I will always mention it and always put it in the cutting guide. So the bumpy side is where your score line comes out of the cardstock. So you place your tape on that 1/2 inch on that bumpy side of the piece for both B and C. Then we have a piece D, which is going to form a normal pocket. This one is 4 3/4 by 2 3/4. With the 4 3/4 on top, we're going to score 1/2 inch and 4 1/4. Then we're going to turn it to the 2 3/4, and we're going to score 2 1/4. So a regular pocket. Then piece E is going to be a stack pocket. Again, it's 4 3/4 wide. It's 1 3/4. So with the 4 3/4, again, 1/2 inch, 4 1/4. Then turn it to the 1 3/4, and we're going to score at 1 inch. Tape for this one will only go on that short side here. Then piece F will form a belly band. Again, 4 3/4 by 2 1/8 this time. And then for this piece, we're only scoring on the 4 3/4 inch side, 1/2 inch, and again 4 1/4. Then we have 2 pieces of G, which are forming photo flaps. These pieces are 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. And with the 5 3/4 inside on top, we're going to score at 5 1/4. So both these pieces. Then for piece H, we have a piece that is 6 3/8 by 6 3/4. I'm going to start scoring with the 6 3/4 inside on top. I'm going to score at 6 1/4. So be careful because these measurements are pretty close together. So the 6 3/4 inch on top, 6 1/4 is where you score. You turn it clockwise. And now the 6 3/8 is on top, and we're going to score 5 7/8. So when the 6 3/4 is my height, I want to have a score line on the right hand side and on the bottom for this piece. So that is the scoring and cutting of your pieces. And then what you won't see when I continue the original video is I folded our piece A in half. We are going to start working backwards. So I'm going to start with piece H and our 2 photo flaps, the pieces G. But the video will continue while I'm sticking this one in. So I'll show you how I've prepared it. I've put tape on the dented side on the 2 1/2 inch strips. I'm not going to do it now because it's a waste of my tape. You will minor the corner. That means that you cut with a 45-degree angle straight to where your score lines meet. And if you need a bit of a slower explanation on the pockets and the belly bands and the stacked pockets, where you put your tape and the folding, I suggest you watch my latest project, Absolute Beginner's mini album, because when I'm constructing that one, I am really taking you through those things a bit slower. So I might go a bit quick here and there, but there are videos where I take you through it slower, and then it will probably make more sense. So after we've got that, we are going to fold on our score lines. Now, folding on the score line towards the bumpy side. I might repeat that later in the video because I forgot to explain it in the original one and then did it on a later piece. But you always fold towards the bumpy side. What that means is that your tape then, once you've placed it on the dented side and you fold, your tape will end up on the outside of your strips, which means we're going to place something on top. Now I have my piece lying here with the folded edges on the right hand side and on the bottom. And now I'm going to cut an angle in this pocket. So I'm going to get a ruler and a pencil. On top, I'm going to start measuring on the right top corner. And I'm going to measure 1 3/4. I just make a little pencil mark. I'm not sure how well you can see it, but I can see it. Maybe I can try to do it with my white gel marker, which might show up a bit better on camera. And then I'm going to go to the left bottom corner and I'm going to measure from that left bottom corner up on the left hand side 2 inches this time. 2 inches. And then I'm going to line it up in my paper trimmer and I'm going to cut on that angle. So keep in mind, once I did these measurements, here it's 1 3/4 and here it's 2 inch is when I'm folded on my score lines. So don't get confused by that. Then I'm going to get my paper trimmer in and I'm going to line up those white tick marks in my paper trimmer. Just make sure that you're happy and then cut off that piece. And then we have our angled pockets that we will attach into our piece A. But from here I will continue with the original video with the white pieces that I originally prepared and actually are going to use in the project. So from here you can watch the original version again. Okay, so when we line our piece H up in that corner, you'll notice that you have a little bit of space here between the edge of your pocket and your fold. That's what we want. So this can fold close nicely, which also means that probably I will put a full sheet of pattern paper on this page behind the pocket just to cover that there as well. And this is open, right? This is an open pocket on this side. So let me think about how am I going to do this with sticking it down. I'm going to start with the side, I think. I need my thingy to peel the tape. Where was it? I've been using it yesterday the whole time. Here it is. So I'm just going to peel off a little bit of that tape here. And again, I like to use tape, but if you like to use... That's not the right side. If you like to use a wet glue, you can, of course. Just use the adhesive that you prefer, right? And if you were wondering, I use 3 8-inch tape on my 1/2-inch flaps for a nice coverage. So the tape backing is removed here on the side a little bit. So I'm just lining it up here in the corner along the bottom edge. And then I'm bringing it down the side to give it a stick. Hold it in place and then carefully remove that tape backing. So the side is now in place and I can just remove that one. So I went to get my tape and I realized while I was getting it that for this pocket it's not that important because I'm going to do that full sheet of pattern paper behind it, but for other pockets it is. So that's our first piece in place. Then on the inside here we're going to place our 2 pieces of G. this can go to the side for now, which are 2 flaps. So what fun with this thing is you can do only one if you want to. You could even change position of these flaps if you want to. You can play with that. Just make it your own project. What I wanted to say about the flaps is that they are designed for 3.5 by 5 inch photos, but of course you don't have to use them for that. But that's what the measurement provides for if you want to cover it fully with a photo. So we're going to fold, and that's something that I might need to mention as well. I didn't do it with the pocket, but when I fold on a score line, I always fold towards the bumpy side. That's another one of my basic rules, and I kind of try to put it in cutting guides as well, because I don't really want to keep repeating all of those things in every single video. But then again, hey, that's what it is sometimes. So when you follow the 2 rules of placing your tape on the dented side and fold towards your bumpy side, once you fold it, your attachment flaps will have your tape showing on the outside of your piece, and that's how we are going to place them down, right? So there's a reason behind those rules. Now I can place these 2 flaps with the slightest bit of space between them. So I decided that when I have my ruler here lined up with the 0 with the corner here, and I will make a little tick mark with the 3 7/8 of an inch, and I'm going to do the same thing from the other corner, the 3 7/8 of an inch. I have a 1/4 inch space between those pencil marks, and I have about a 1/8 inch space on top and bottom, and what I will do probably is just slightly go over that pencil line to kind of make that space there a little bit bigger, and in between the flaps a little bit smaller. But it helps me with a little bit of a guideline for that. So I'm going to place my piece. Let's start with the top one in the normal direction again, and I'm going to do the same thing. I will just remove that tape backing slightly, and now I have that little pencil case, and by covering it, I don't have to worry about erasing it or having it showing later on, or need to cover it with pattern paper. I'm going to place it where I want it, and that I'm happy with how it's lined up, and then I can pull the tape backing away. And then I will do the same thing here with my second piece. Now for these flaps, if you want to hold them in place with a magnet, you can. I haven't really decided on what I want to do with that. Maybe I'll just leave them flapping around. We'll see. For now, that's what it is. So 2 photo flaps in place there. We can close this. Now there is no gusset area in between here, and we are going to create a little bit of bulk when we place our photos and etc. our stuff in there. That's all right. It will just become a little bumpy, but sometimes I like that look better than having all the gussets. Now we are going to create like 2 flaps on the front that are hopefully going to look like and function as a belly band. So let's start with our pieces B and C. B will go on the bottom, C will go on top. Just something to keep in mind. So again, I'm going to place this to the side for now. Start with B, so we have 2 score lines, and we are going to fold towards the bumpy side on both of those score lines. That goes for both pieces B and C. So, and now because we placed our tape on the bumpy side, our tape will end up on the inside of our flap. And that means that we're not attaching it on top of something, but behind something. So this is what it looks like. We have a little gusset and our tape ended up on that inside. And the same will go for piece C. And those score lines so close together, they can be a bit tricky to get in place or get folded on, I'm sorry. But just take your time on it and you'll be fine. So B will go on the bottom, C will go on top. And what we're going to do is, when we have our piece A, our base piece, we're going to attach it behind. And I'm going to go for about a half an inch from my folded edge. And we want it to line up nice. So I'm just going to start with place my piece B. And then line up my piece C with it to stick it down, basically. What I'm also thinking is I might put my pockets on first. I think I will. Okay, so piece C will go to the side. Piece B is what we're going to work on. Put that on in the corner there. Just double checking, am I still having that whole piece in frame? Yes. And piece F will go on top of piece C, and for piece B we will be using D and E. So D is a regular pocket, so I'm going to cut that 45-degree angle where my score lines are intersecting. And for piece E it's going to be a stack pocket, so I'm going to cut with a slight angle towards the intersection and then with an angle from the bottom to the intersection. So that's going to look like that. And we'll do that on both sides. And then fold and burnish those score lines. And again, on your pockets, always make sure that your flaps don't touch each other. If they do, you just recut it. And fine. So that's for D. And for E, we only fold on our side flaps. And I really need to remove that letter E. Maybe replace it. My daughter has been using my pencil and she pushed a bit hard on the eraser, let's say, and there's not much left of it. E. Okay, so we're going to attach this onto B. So for that, I'm going to fold on the second score line from the bottom. So the other score line is underneath the piece. Give that a burnish, get it as flat as possible on my work surface. And I'm just going to attach it, lining it up now with the bottom and the two sides. So again, just however works for you. I'm going to remove the tape backing of that side flap a little bit. And I'm going to place it as best as I can. And then remove the tape. Now here, and maybe I should have, for that, I should have first done the bottom. There we go. I'm not thinking clearly. It's all right. We'll do it without the tape. It's fine. So normally I would do the bottom first, then put a little bit of some very simple tape over that attachment strip, so your photo mats and everything will slide in a little easier. But oh, I wasn't thinking, and I've placed my side down first, so now I'm not able to do that. It's okay. And I need to remove this one as well. See, I am a bit rusty. Things that were so automatic and I just did without thinking before are not so automatic and easy for me at this point, but I'll get there again. It's fine. Give me 2 or 3 projects and I'm back. So the piece E, we're going to slide that 3/4 inch part into our piece D and then line up the sides. Stick that down. Now I always give it a dry fit because sometimes you need to give it a little bit of an adjustment to make sure that it's all straight on your piece. But in my case, I'm looking pretty good. So for these pieces, I will just remove my tape backing on both sides and then slide it in. I have a little bit of that residue of the eraser, or the rubber, as they say in Australia. At least that's how my kids call it. And then we can stick that and burnish that as well. So that's our piece B in place, or constructed. We need to put it in place. And I'm going to do piece C first because I want to try something before I construct the whole thing. So now this one will go to the side. I'm getting piece C. This time I want to have my folded edge on top, and actually I can just lay it flat on my work surface, just fold it open, because we're going to work on the bottom of this piece with our piece F. I'm just going to fold on these score lines, give it a burnish. Now this is something that has not been tried in my tryout piece, so it might not work as I hope it will work. But this one we're going to attach along the bottom edge and on the sides. So we're moving it a little bit, just lining it up to my best ability. That's one. And then the other side. Is 2. And now I want to make a little angle in this. If you have like the corner punches from your memory keepers or something with the angle, you can use that. Well, I have it, but I don't have it right now. It's still in the shipping container, so I'm have to do with the old method of measuring and cutting with my scissors. I'm lining up the bottom corner of the piece with the 0, and I'm going to mark 3/8 of an inch. Then I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to do that again with on that same corner, 3/8 of an inch. So I'm going to cut off that little piece, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So 3/8 of an inch from the corner, and I'm just using different places of my ruler because I'm comfortable doing that, but if you're not, then you just use the same spot every single time. So I've made those pencil marks, and because this is such a small part that I need to cut, I will just use my scissors. I'm going to put that at that pencil mark and cut to the other one. And there we go. Now, if it's not perfect, it's not perfect. It's a little bit tougher to cut, well, because you're going through several layers. But this is now a belly band, and the idea is that when we have it in place, so without sticking it down yet, is that it kind of meets each other. So you don't have to angle it, but I think it gives a little bit of a nice detail. So it touches, it's fine, it's not going into the pocket, that's also fine, but I can place something behind the belly band that will also go into this pocket if I want to. So like I said, you don't have to angle it. I think it's a nice detail because I will put some pattern paper here that will show, that will also give the idea of, hey, I can lift this up. So I like it. It works, my measurements are correct, surprise, surprise. So I'm gonna go for about, do we want to do 1/2 inch, maybe 5/8 of an inch? Let's do 5/8 of an inch from the folded edge there. So to mark that, I'm going to flip the whole piece over and make a little tick mark. 5/8 of an inch from that folded edge. And then my piece B will, this is piece B. I hope, because I'm turning everything, I will place that 1/2 inch up to the score line and line it up with that pencil mark to get it at that 5/8 inch. So what I might do in this case, I don't do it very often with attaching my pieces, but I might do a drop of wet glue on here to make sure that I get it where I want it without, because you really don't want to go over your score line, because then your score line won't work as well. So just take your time on this. I want my score line to be on the outside of the edge of my base piece. And it might help to turn it around. And double check if you can see that score line when you fold it over. And you might need to pull back on it a little bit, but this is fine for me. So let me see if I can show you up close. It's really hard to catch that second score line with the light. But my score line here is on the outside of the edge of piece A. So you make sure that you can fold it over nicely. Now to get this one in place, I'm going to, what am I going to do? Good question. What are you going to do? Just hold it like this. Flip it over. And make a little tick mark here. I'll probably do the same thing where I just use some wet glue to get that wiggle time. So before everything, I'm not pushing on anything, I'm just double checking. That seems fine. Now I can burnish it. Closing my glue quickly. And there we have it. So this is going to be our piece that will go on the front cover. So we have our belly band with a stack pocket and a belly band, so we can put some fun stuff in here. Once that will hold all of this closed. And then we have we can use this as a belly band as well. We can put some bigger photo mats behind it. We can open it. We can do a layout here. You can open it again. We have some photo flaps. You can do a layout underneath the photo flaps and a large angle pocket. I'm going to attach it by gluing. I'm going to put double-sided tape around the back and just glue this in our album base right here. And first I will do that little border of green. And I think I will decorate it before I attach it to the actual album. So I'm really in doubt, but I feel like I want to do the decorating in this video as well. So you have the construction and the decorating of the elements. So we will continue with that, but I do need to work my brain on where I want to go with the decorating. So I'm going to make some choices, because if I'm going to do that on camera, this is going to be a very long video. So I will come back when I have a little bit of an idea of what this should look like. And then we will work on the decorating, and then we'll put in these strips before we attach this piece in here. Finally, I have some time to film decorating on this project. Life has been a bit crazy. It's alright, it's all part of the game. It will get better. For the decorating, I already said it somewhere in the beginning, but I never showed you. I'm going to use, as much as I can, the 6x8 paper pad Say Cheese Classic Pooh Birthday. So the 6x8. Probably for the piece that we're going to do on the back cover, I'm going to use 2 sheets of the 12x12 collection that I did use on the cover as well. Just because I really like those sheets and I would love to use them. But we're going to decorate this front inside cover piece now. But before I'm going to decorate that, I'm going to do the strips that I also did on the back cover. So that's what I'm going to start with. I've already cut them to size. I'm going to put this to the side for now. So leftover pieces from the front cover and back cover sheet, like one of them had this green on the back that I really liked, which I felt like will go well with most of the colors in the collection. So these strips are 1/2 inch, and then the long ones are 8 1/4, because my white cardstock here is 8 3/8, so 1/8 of an inch smaller. And then I have two smaller ones that are 1/2 inch by 6 1/8 of an inch, because I've got, again, my pieces of white cardstock to 6 3/8, and I might need to do a little no, not, it's 6 1/8 of an inch, because I've cut it to 6 1/4, the white cardstock. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to do the same thing as I did here. So I've started with the smaller pieces that I'm just going to glue down as is. So I'm just going to go for a really small white border, and I'm just going to glue those in place. So I'm not going to do anything too complicated with this decorating. It's just, I've noticed that the colors in this collection, I don't find them really easy to work with for me personally, because it's not necessarily something that I'm really attracted to. So then you might wonder, like, why did you buy it then? Because I saw some really nice projects coming online on social media that were made with it, and I was like, maybe sometimes it's just also good to step out of that comfort zone and be a bit more bold. And I really wanted to use a 6x8 paper pad as well, so like a couple of reasons. But I always struggle in the beginning with finding, like, where do I want to take it then? And then I intend to stay away from certain colors that I really struggle with, and that might give me problems in, like, do I have enough paper then? We'll see. We'll see, but it's not like a huge project, so hopefully we'll be fine. Pencil. So now I'm going to get the longer strip, and let me start on this side, and I'm just going to line it up with the top and bottom, and where, like, I'm lined up with the edges. So I do that on top and on bottom, and then I'm going to make a little tick mark right here where they intersect on the inside. And I'm going to get my scissors, and I'm going to cut from that pencil mark to the corner of the piece. And on this side I'm going to go from the corner to the pencil mark, just because it's easier. And I just really keep my eye on where I want to cut to, and that helps me to guide my scissors. So that one will be glued right there. And I will do the same thing on this side. And if you're not comfortable, you can also cut and glue, like, the short pieces first, and then measure, so you're really sure that you're going to line up nicely if you're not sure how much space you need to keep and if your measurements are going to be correct. So then in this case I would measure like from my top edge of this piece down to the bottom edge of this piece, which in my case is 8 1/4, because I've done this a lot. I kind of have a feeling for it. That doesn't mean that I'm always perfect. No, I'm not. You just kind of adjust. You place it the best you can. Hide this as much as you can if you're a bit off. It happens. And it's not a big deal. You're probably the only person who's going to notice anyway. So again, I'm just putting some glue, and normally I ink my pieces of pattern paper, but since I'm working on the white, there's no need for me to do that, so I'm not inking. I'm just turning it in a way that I can see what I'm doing. I'm sorry if my head is in frame. And then when I'm happy with my placements, see, it's not lining up there perfectly. I'm not sure if you can see that on camera, but that's all right, because that will be covered. So I focus on the outside because that's the most visible. That's maybe the best tip that I can give you. Okay, so that's prepared. So once my piece is completely decorated and I'm ready to stick it in, we're ready to go. So this can go to the side. Now this is the piece. I've already selected some pattern papers to decorate this. I haven't made full-on decisions yet, but I have an idea of where I want to go. But before I'm going to put the pattern papers on, I actually am going to turn it all the way to the back, and I'm going to place some double-sided tape there for attaching it to my album when I'm ready. Now I did tell you at some point, I forgot where, in what video it was, maybe it's in the next video, no, it's in this video, I guess, that you can also like make it detachable with magnets, right? So then you don't have to do all of this tape. You would put your magnets and then your pattern paper on top if you want to have pattern paper on the back. Okay, so since I'm a bit struggling with space, I am going to cut some pieces and then stick them down. So my idea was to have this one like a big piece on here, and I will probably decide to cover up the text with a photo. So I will have like a photo here. I was thinking about maybe I want to cut into the balloons so the photo can go behind the balloons a little bit, but I'm not going to be bothered. I'm going to keep it easy. So I'm going to cut this one down a little bit to fit on here. And I was thinking that I might go for a 1/8 inch border for this project because of the size of the photo flaps, to save on some paper there. Then I want to use a combination of this yellow and the balloons on the front of my belly band here. So I'm going to put the yellow on the bottom and the top, and then the balloons in the middle. So I need to do some measuring. So this whole thing is 6 by 8. Now if I want to go for a 1/8 inch border, that means I need to cut off a 1/4 inch. So what I can do is just cut along that black line, 1/8 of an inch from both sides. I will cut off a little bit of his arm here, but then I don't mind that because it's like the paper itself is already like cut off his foot a little bit, so that's doesn't really matter then. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to cut a 1/8 inch off on all 4 sides for this one to make that fit. And then this one, the belly band, has a width of 3 3/4, so I need to make that 3.5 inches. And then I will think about the heights in a second. And it's been a long time since I went for that 1/8 inch border. I hope I'm not gonna regret it. Late, like the last projects that I did, I really preferred that 1/16 of an inch. So I'm going to go a little less here on this side. And then to 5 3/4. I'm not really sad if I don't have the black line, it's fine. And then I do the same thing here. I need to have my ruler that works best for me at the moment. So I'm going to go to about 8 7/8. Again, I do a little less because I have a bit more space on top to cut off. And then to 7 3/4 is what I need in total. Should be about there. And then I'm going to cut these to 3.5 in width. Hopefully we can use that somewhere else. And again, 3.5. And then I will do some measuring here on the pockets. So I'm going to measure the top of this first pocket to the bottom. It's 2 1/4. So I'm going to go for 2 inches of the yellow. And I'm measuring it on this side. 2 inch. And then from the balloons, I hope everything is in frame, by the way, but I need to put it. So from the top of the second pocket, I'm gonna go for 1 1/4 to slide it slightly into the first pocket. 1 1/4, and I need to do that from the bottom. So that's should be 1 1/4. I'm going to measure from the top of the flap 1/8 of an inch into the pockets. 2 1/8 of an inch. Do I say that correct? Let's try. I can always cut off a hair. So I need 2 1/8 of an inch. So I'm turn it around because I want it from the bottom, but I measure a little bit easier this way. That's in my way now. About there, 2 1/8 of an inch. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't really continue this way, that's fine. I pull it up a little bit, it continues better. So I might just cut off, let's try 2 inches. So I need to keep the bottom part, I need to cut off 1/8 of an inch from the top. So 2 inches, let's try. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. Okay, then the question is, oh, you know what, I'm going to do yellow here and then the balloons there again. That's fine. I could have put that piece over here. Oh, but I like it like this. I will put yellow here and the balloons there. So, yellow, I need 1 7/8. Oh, great measurements to do on camera. About there. 1 7/8, and then for the top piece I need, again, I'm gonna go 1/8 of an inch into the pocket, which is about, I'm just gonna go 2 3/4 of the balloons. And then I have some pieces left. Sure, that works for me. This doesn't work for me. I want that bigger. What did I do? I did 1 7/8. See, that's that 1/8 inch border that I'm not used to anymore. I feel like it's too big of a white space on one side. So I'm going to cut another piece of 2 inches. It's fine, I have it. Just making sure that I have the right way. Yeah, that's better for me. Okay, I need to make that angle in that piece as well. So I'm going to line it up where I want it. And I'm going to mark where I need to angle it. And I see that I need to remove some pencil marks on there. If you have your angle, corner angle punch, then you use that, of course. That's way easier and quicker, but I don't have it, so we'll do it the old-fashioned way. That's fine. Okay, so this is all ready to be glued down. Like I said, no inking, so that's a time saver. I'm just gonna go from the bottom to the top, I guess. I don't need a whole lot of glue for this. For decorating, I prefer to use wet glue because it's quicker and it works just fine. The only thing that I really do is when I stick it down, I burnish to make sure that I don't have any dried up swirly lines of my glue visible through the paper. And of course, later on I can have a look at, do I want to add some embellishments here and there. Now for this piece, I'm going to be a bit careful. I'm going to do the short sides, the top edge, and I fill in the top part a little bit. I try to stay away from the bottom because I don't want to glue the pocket shut where I want to be able to go all the way to the bottom when I place something in this pocket. So that's something that I need to be careful with my glue. And the glue dries rather quick. So I'm a bit off, but it's already down. Taking this off for a second and do this piece. Okay, then I can do this one. Like some of these patterns are just like really busy for me personally, which can be nice on like a single, like a card project or something, but like when you have to combine patterns, it can be a bit tricky to make sure that it's not like too chaotic in the end. And then this is the last piece. Then of course I still need to do the inside of the flaps, but I haven't really decided on what I'm going to use there. Of course you can cut this piece a little longer if you want to, that's not a problem. I just try to save a little bit of my pattern paper because it doesn't really matter. I don't have to go all the way to the bottom for this, but you can if you prefer to, of course. That's nothing stopping you from doing that. Oh, I still need to do the big piece. Now sometimes with bigger pieces I go like, oh, I'll put some 1/4-inch tape around the perimeter and then add some wet glue. But honestly, it's not really necessary, especially not on this one. It's a really flat surface, so that should be just fine to do it with just the wet glue. And again, I feel like I could have kept it a little bit bigger, but that's all right. Just making sure that I'm giving it a really good burnish again, especially around the edges. And then making sure that we don't have any swirly lines visible. So I will probably have like I said, a photo mat here, maybe little embellishments. I might put something down like a photo mat where I can put a tag behind. Those are all like little ideas on how we can lift this quite simple page right now. So I need to decide on what I'm going to do here. I haven't decided on that yet. I will come back to it later when I know what I have left on papers, but this part is done. Now we need to go to the inside, and I had different papers ready for it, and I might keep this close. We might use it a little bit. All right, I was thinking of using this little card here with a little bit of a background. I feel like I'm missing a sheet that I wanted to use here. Let's see, I have some sheets here because I was thinking about this one. And I was also considering putting this one on the photo mats, but I might bring that back to here. And I was looking at this one. And then I had this one to combine it with as a third paper. So what was my initial thought? Maybe if I put this one behind here, I have to cut it down, of course. The thing is, I need to put a full sheet of paper here because you will see it a little bit here, especially if you open up the pocket. And then I wanted to use this one here. The other thing I can do is because you have two of each, I can put the full sheet of this behind and on top of the pocket. And this is what I was thinking of placing there. So I'll put that to the side for now, because if we open these up, lots of opportunities to place photos. I just like this pattern of the map. It's adorable. I can put it there. There will be like a picture on top of this or two. My problem is that this one didn't print completely, but that's okay because I'm going to cut it down anyway. Let's start with that. So for this angle pocket, which is 5 7/8, I've cut my piece into in width already, and it's 6 1/4 inches high. So I'm going to cut it to about 6 inches. And this will go on top of this. Now let's get my paper trimmer out of the way. I'm going to line it up here on the angle pocket. And again, I need to have my pencil and mark where I need to angle it. So I'm lining it up where I want it. Now here, I can still see my pencil mark on where I've angled the white pocket, which is pretty hard to see, I guess. Maybe that makes it a little bit better. So I still have that pencil mark, and I'm just going to bring it down and mark it on my pattern paper. And then I have the same thing here. So here's where the angle started, and I'm just going to bring it in and mark it and line that up in my paper trimmer to make the same angle in my pattern paper. So pencil mark there, pencil mark here. Lining that up. And that should fit on there. It's not always perfect, but again, it's handmade. We shouldn't be too hard on ourselves on it, but this is pretty okay. And I can already tell you that I'm cheating a little bit and stepping away slightly from my 1/8 inch border. I just feel it's a little bit too big here and there. So I'm just like making it a hair larger than, like when I say I have to cut off, I have to cut it a 1/4 inch smaller, I will cut it a little less than a 1/4 inch smaller. I'm cheating a little bit. So this will go here. Now what I can do is get another one of those sheets, but I think it's a bit too, I don't think I'm really gonna like it, but I'm going through my paper pad here, trying to find the second one. There should be another one. Where is it? Oh, here it is. What's the back side? So I could cut this to size and put it behind. And this is, you know how I didn't put my tape there? That's why I'm struggling to get this behind. So I can do this. I'm just not sure if I like it. So I'm just gonna wait. But I am going to glue this down. I remove my pencil marks. I'm just going to decide on this. I will find something that will go with it. I'm just not sure if it's going to be the same piece or a different pattern. So I have these two as well. So I could like go with this behind it. That can work. And this over here, it's a lot for me. This is a lot for me. I really like this card. I'm not sure if that's in frame, so I really want to use it on one of the photo flaps. Another option is to do this behind here. And then perhaps, what's the back of this? I think I kind of wished I could use that as well, but it is what it is. I can do the same pattern next to it as well. But I also have to keep in mind I still have to do my page, and I don't want to use all my awesome papers. Ugh. Okay, this is what I'm thinking. I always like to use scraps and pieces, right? Like this piece, it's not really going to fit on any of my elements. That doesn't mean I can't use it, right? So this is a 2.5 inch scrap piece that I've used on the belly band. What I might do, it's 2.5 inches, so I'm going to cut off 1 inch. Yes, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm just gonna go for it. So I'm lining it up with the 1 inch, which would give me a piece of 1 inch and a piece of 1.5 inches. And I will place that 1 inch piece here. I need to cut it to the right height, that's okay. And the other one here. And then I'm going to fill this part up with my second sheet of this map pattern. I think. And then I will use this side because this is already showing here, so I don't want to have that double, but it's kind of falling away behind the pocket there. So if I use that part, it's not like I've used 2 sheets of the pattern. Yes, that's a good idea. I like it. Let's go for it. I'm going to cut this one to size. I need to cut them to height. Oh my goodness, see, sometimes you just go like, but also I'm using the same patterns, right? I'm trying to really stay away from using 300 different patterns, and that's just the way that I work, I guess. So I'm cutting it to height, and I need to cut it to width. What did I say? 5 3/4. So this can go behind that pocket. And then I need to cut these yellow strips to the 7 3/4 inches. So my next step will be to glue these pieces in place, and then I will measure like what is it that I need here to fill up the middle. That's like for me the safest way to go. Let me think. I'm going to glue this edge completely down. This edge. I need to make my life a little bit easy here because, as you could see, it's a little bit hard to get that piece behind the pocket in place. So I'm not going to put my glue in places where I might struggle. So I'm lifting up the pocket a little bit and try to get it over those edges. I think I did. And now I need to get it straight. Okay. Just making sure that those edges are really nicely stuck down. Now this piece. stay away from your fold line slightly. Even out the space on top and bottom. Like also here, I'm not staying away from the fold line a complete 1/8 of an inch, because I also have white showing on the other side of the fold line, and I don't want that gap to become a full 1/4 inch. But that's just like little things that I do. Yeah, but whatever you prefer, right? I'm just conscious of that. I'm not always doing exactly what I'm telling you to do. That's also one of the reasons I don't really provide measurements for decorating in my cutting guides, because everybody has their own way of doing it. I sometimes step away from doing it the way I'm telling you that I'm doing it, because I don't like that big gap there or whatever. I'm trying, of course, to line up the pieces, and it's a little bit of eyeballing. It can be a bit tricky. Often I'm not perfect with that as well. So now that I have those pieces in place, I'm going to measure the gap. It's a little bit more than 3 1/4, so I will cut my piece. So I'm just gonna keep it like, where do I think I want it? A little bit more than 3 1/8 of an inch. So I want to have that from this side, from the, what is it, right hand side. Okay, I like the way that looks. That's nice. And then we'll put photo mats on top, or like one photo mat with a bit of an embellishment. So again, I'm just lining it up, top, bottom, evening out the space on both sides. Just get it the best you can, right? Okay, some scrap pieces. So I was considering, but this is not enough for, no, I can only get to like cut strips of this to provide a background for this 3x4 card to go on here. But I might need to wait with that and see what I have left on scraps later on. But here I can just place a full photo of, what is it, 3.5 by 5? Yes, 3.5 by 5 photo on there. But I prefer to have like somewhat of pattern paper on one, like put some pattern paper here and a photo there, and then pattern paper there and a photo here. But I have to decide on that a little bit later on, see what I have left, what I can work with, what we can do. So this is like the basic decorating for this part of the folio. I'm going to first continue with the page, which like first I'm going to construct it in the next video and then add decorating. Before I continue with the decorating of this. So this is almost ready to go in the book. I won't stick anything in until I'm completely done decorating. But I hope like some of the tips were helpful with cutting your pattern paper for these pieces, for the angling right there. And gives you an idea of how you can get started with this. So this is it for this video. I want to thank you for watching. I hope you join me in the next part for the page constructing and a little bit of the decorating of the page as well. So thank you for watching and enjoy the rest of your day. See you in the next one. Bye bye.